You are listening to NewVision, OldWays, the podcast that explores timeless wisdom for the modern mind in a fun, relaxed, and most important, interactive way with you, the listener. I am your host, Tony Marinaccio, and let's get the episode started. Welcome, everyone, to the first episode of Season 3. I am so happy to be back in the swing of things, and wow, what an adventure. The last few weeks have been. In episode 20. I discussed voting with your heart, and I can honestly say thank you for the great response I received about the episode, and what an election time it was. It ended up not being the nail biter that so many thought it would be. So why am I doing a post-election episode? Well, a lot of mind-blowing things have happened since the election, causing some people to react in extreme ways, especially in their personal lives. So today, I want to touch on some rather disturbing trends some people have shown in recent weeks and how we are supposed to react to these trends that, in my view, are benefiting no one. And I mean absolutely no one. So with that being said, let's start Season 3, Episode 21, The Post Election Hangover. What have we learned? This is not meant to be a political episode per se. I, just like every American, should have my own opinions, beliefs, and needs that help guide me to which candidate I voted for. The right to vote, however you choose, is a right that helps form the basis for how life in this country is conducted. No one should be shamed for their vote, regardless if you agree or disagree with their decisions. But over the past few weeks, I have seen people threaten other people over who they voted for. I have seen people cut ties with family, friends, or social media contacts over who they voted for. I have seen people living in fear for their lives over what I think are awful rumors and horribly made-up accusations. I am in no way downplaying how someone feels. They may be convinced that certain things will happen, but the key to this fear is, why are they convinced of this? Why are people at this point in time so willing to cut ties with family, friends, coworkers, social media contacts, simply because they voted a certain way? Why it is okay for one side to feel that way and not for the other side? Meaning, what about the side that won? Shouldn't they cut ties with anyone who voted differently? In this episode, I want to discuss the reasons why I feel this is happening, the consequences of disconnecting from anyone who thinks differently, the unhealthy mental state that people are putting themselves into, the broken family and friend circles, and what we can do about finding a way to reconnect without forgetting we are all allowed to think differently, but without retribution if we do.
Before you cut someone off, you have to approach things properly. So what that one thing is that you need to do before you cut them off is talk to them. My goodness, people, I cannot tell you how many times I have spoken to individuals who cut someone off, never having a real conversation about the issues, never sitting down and fully expressing themselves. I have coached countless couples, divorcees, where the person they divorced didn't even know all the real issues going on, did not have a full understanding, because what people do is, even when some of y'all, and it may be you specifically, talk to that individual, you're not expressing yourself effectively. We have moments where we lash out, where we argue, maybe we send long drawn out texts, all these what I consider very ineffective ways of getting our message across. And we do it in a manner that makes them feel attacked, speaks down to them. And naturally, what people do when they feel attacked is defend themselves. Even when you know you're wrong, if you feel attacked, you are very likely to defend yourself. So coming off in that way is never going to set the stage for that individual to be receptive to what you're saying in that moment.
That was a clip from Steven Speaks, and what he said is so important. I completely understand there are times and reasons why cutting people off can be a necessary thing, especially if it is an abusive relationship. But I have seen in far too many instances where people, especially post-election here, have instantly cut people off without any discussion, without any consideration for the people involved, and without consideration of what this will mean in the future of their own lives after they remove these people from their life. Without these people they have cut off, the loneliness that will accompany this, and the fact that removing yourself from any uncomfortable situation is truly an unhealthy way to live. I say that because life is wrought with moments of uncomfortableness. Shying away from anything uncomfortable is causing people to become isolated, angry, lonely, mentally unhealthy with depression and anxiety. And for what? Just so you don't have to face an uncomfortable moment? Is that truly worth your mental health? People who feel avoiding any uncomfortable situation is helping their situation are in reality digging themselves deeper into that isolated thinking that can easily lead to the rampant depression and anxiety people feel more and more in recent times, especially. It's a self-imposed mental breakdown that did not have to occur. So why then are people so willing to cut ties with other people over a difference of opinion? One of the main reasons, in my view, is the damaging agenda media. The media that needs to fill airtime and copy space 24 hours a day. It's a daunting task for them, I know, but it leads to false accusations, skewed facts, and terrible rhetoric that then leads to hysteria among certain groups of people that are susceptible to feelings of being mistreated, misunderstood, or abused, or continuous self-victimizations, which, whether real or perceived, this then leads to an even worse dark hole of organizations using that false rhetoric for political or personal gain at the expense of the mental health of that particular group of people. The situation I described is at the heart of some violence. Take the riots of the summer of 2020 are a great example of this. People that had no connection to the city or situation being protested were coerced or paid to bombard a city with violence, disruption of services, with threats of fear, all to, as they tried to say, break down the system and force populations into thinking that crime is just reparations. Another group of people that are being victimized are transgender people. They are being led to believe that they will be abused or worse, killed by conservative thinking people. I will never deny there are people out there who will never accept anyone who is considered different in any way. But the idea that widespread Nazi-like acceptance abuse is absurd, but yet the fear is real and a direct correlation to the media causing ridiculous accusations. We can deny that these things are happening, but they do. During the last election, as I referenced in episode 20, Voting with Your Heart, Trump and his supporters were compared to Nazis, were called fascists, mainly by people that don't even understand what the word means, and accused the conservatives of destroying democracy. None of that was fact. None of that was based on reality. The media thinks that just by saying it, the dumb Americans will believe it and vote accordingly. But the agenda media didn't realize a few important details. The American people were smarter than they thought, and they also created a fear within certain communities that has obviously caused severe mental health issues, like I mentioned before, of overwhelming fear, depression, anxiety, low self-esteem, and an inability to sort out fact from fiction. That's very important. The American and Canadian agenda media in general should be ashamed of itself. The need to gain viewers, readers, clicks has now caused people to disassociate themselves from family, friends, and coworkers. How does that make you feel, members of the media? Do you feel good about that? Knowing that many people now are left alone and frightened over things that haven't or will never happen? So, what do we do about this? Well, many times in this country, we have come to a point where we have collectively said enough. Maybe at times it took longer to get there than it should have, but we have gotten there. And I believe we could do it again. How? By all of us accepting more from ourselves. If we expect more from ourselves and each other, we can then expect more from our media, our large corporations, and yes, our government. The time has come for us to come together and force the agenda media and our government to understand we will not be divided and conquered. America showed in this last election that whether you agree with the results or not, when Americans are, quite frankly, pissed off with being accused of being a country of racist, a country with a broken population, that we can rise against that and emphatically prove them wrong. I believe most people are good-natured. Most people don't hate others simply because they are different. I myself do not hate. I may not understand at times, but I do not hate. I try every day to be better than I was before and to better myself overall. And for that matter, hopefully better the lives of other people. If you have been cut off by someone because of your political leanings or for your religious beliefs or for simply who you voted for, hang in there. Realize that we are fighting a big, for-profit, sensationalizing, and heartless media that will in the end hurt or kill many people by causing unnecessary division between us, by causing levels of mental illness never seen in human history. Am I picking too heavily on the media and certain government officials, or for that matter, former government officials? No, I am not. We are now at a tipping point where the mental and physical health of this country needs to surge above the ratings and clicks of media outlets. Enough is enough.
You've got parents who have different political ideas than you do. You've got bosses who are ideologically different than you. You've got friends who suddenly over the last 6 months have come out of the woodwork, and you've seen a side of them that you really love or you really hate. All of your friends on the interwebs, on the cellular devices, man, they are getting loud and angry and fervent and canceling and adding and subtracting. It's just gotten bananas. And so I want to first say I wholeheartedly, with all of my guts, reject the politicalization and the polarization of basic human interaction. I reject it out of hand. It's ridiculous. My life doesn't work that way. Your life doesn't work that way. And when I'm talking to somebody who I care about, or I'm talking to a stranger at a bus stop, and I mention, hey, I really like this, you can't then take me and dump me into a bucket that tells me everything else about my life. That's ridiculous. It doesn't even make sense. But we do that to one another. We allow our political teams to do that to our country, and it's just nonsense. So I completely out of hand reject the politicalization and the polarization of every single topic. The world is a slide rule. Things are messier than that.
That was Dr. John Delaney. And what he said there reaffirms the points I am making. We all come from different circumstances. We all have our own brains, our own needs, our own beliefs. But to cut people off simply because you disagree with who they voted for is showing that you have not grown as a person. A study done by the Cornell Family Estrangement and Reconciliation Project reported that possibly tens of millions of Americans may potentially be estranged from a relative. In 2019, 35% of Republicans and 45% of Democrats said they would be unhappy if their child married someone from the opposing party. Not the best parenting, if you ask me. We are leading by example, and that is not a path we can stay on. Before cutting ties with people, there are important questions we must ask ourselves, like, if we were to put politics aside, would the relationship be worth saving? Are there other parts of the relationship that you would miss? Is it possible to still respect your family or friends despite their political beliefs? Asking these questions may not solve why you disagree, but it can shed light on how severing the relationship can leave a big hole in your life. It can force a situation to be difficult when in reality, it's just a difference of ideology. There are ways to combat the initial feelings of wanting to cut ties. You can start by trying to understand why that person believes what they believe. Connecting with people that have different perspectives from your own can help shape your own views. It helps to humanize the other side for you, eliminating the divide and conquer tactics that probably got you to that point in the first place. Recognize that we are all human, and working with someone is much easier than working against that person. There will be times that some people are not open to other people's perspectives. So in that case, protect yourself and your energy and move along. It's okay to give yourself a break, take a step back, and come back to the relationship when some time has passed and feelings have softened. Try to keep the door open to reconciliation. If both sides try to, as they say, walk a mile in the other's shoes, you may have an understanding of why there are different perspectives. But in the end, you both may want the same outcome. You just approached it differently. You can also try to pay attention to current events, Keep an eye on what the new government is doing. It is your right to speak up. And if you don't like what they are doing, you can let them know by writing letters, making calls, and if drastically needed, peacefully protest, as long as you are properly educated on the situation. At the very least, take a step back from the situation. People should not be defined by a political label, just like people should not be defined by their sexual orientation, how many tattoos they have, the color of their skin, or any other generalized reason. As the great Dr. Martin Luther King said, "I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character." And color can easily be changed to political beliefs. As I said earlier, all of us need to expect more from ourselves and from each other. We need to show the media, the government, organizations that don't have our best interest at heart that we have had enough. Our mental health and our important relationships greatly outweigh the for-profit entities that will have to bow to what we collectively want, a coming together of our country. It's the only way we will make progress. Otherwise, we will take 1 step forward and 100 backward, and that is not helping any of us. So, what do you think? I'd love to find out. Here is where to get a hold of the show and let us know. And these are in the show notes, but as always, here they are. You can message the show from each episode on your various platforms. Just look for the send us a text message link, and you can message us there. You can email us at newvisionoldways@gmail.com. That's newvisionoldways@gmail.com. You can find us on what was Twitter, now X, at NewVision Old Way. Remember, there's no S at that one. NewVision Old Way. And check out the NewVision Old Ways YouTube channel. Just type in NewVision, one word, Old Ways, one word. And please subscribe. It is free and will show support for the show. It really means a lot and will help grow the show on YouTube. You can also find us on Facebook. Just type in New Vision, one word, Old Ways, one word, podcast, and you should easily find us. And just as a reminder, these are still, even though it's season 3, growing platforms for us and expanding all the time. So we need your help to get the flow going with the community. And last but not least, if you could do me a huge favor and subscribe to us, like us, follow us, leave a review on whatever platform you found us on. That would be so appreciated. That will also help secure guests that we will be booking in the future. So welcome to season 3. And this season is going to have a few surprises along the way. And I truly hope you will enjoy it. I can't wait to get your input. I also can't wait until we get together for the next episode of New Vision, Old Ways. Until then, stay true to yourself, stay informed, and stay empowered. This episode of New Vision, Old Ways has been written, engineered, and produced by TKM Productions and your host, Tony Marinaccio.